Good afternoon. I'm Jason Crusoe. I'm CEO of Buckhead. It's my pleasure to moderate a panel covering technology that is powering golf's future. Joining me today are leaders who bring decades of experience in both golf course operations and more recently in golf technology. Dr. Wright and John Ross, CEO of Bencore, David Hope, General Manager of Lightspeed Golf, Chris Nick, Senior Vice President of Supreme Golf, and Bryce Poison, the Chief Revenue Officer of Golf and Great. Many of us have crossed paths in the past, collaborating in some of the industry's leading technology companies. It's exciting to be here now, representing the fastest growing technology companies in golf course software. Today, we're going to dive into three topics. The first is the importance of interconnected systems. The second will be how technology can improve the customer experience and help golf courses make more money. And then third, we'll dive into predictions and how technology will power the future of golf course operations. Let's dive in. Our first topic is interconnected systems. The topic of interconnected systems is speaking about different technology vendors and integrate their technologies together and how it will change your operation. We're going to learn about APIs, how they're important, why they're important in the golf industry, and how other verticals are also using APIs. Leading this discussion will be David and Bryce.
All right, I'll jump into those. Mind if I get up? Okay, so before we dive into the benefits of an open API strategy with a facilitator like my company provides APIs to allow partners to kind of integrate into their software, I kind of want to walk through the pragmatic and methodical way of growing a software business. So in the early growth stages of a software company, there's a milestone that you need to hit swiftly and in the most cost-effective manner possible. And we refer to that as product market. The larger opportunities that you're targeting in the market that you're selling into, what subset of that market is going to be a good fit for your product? Now you might ask yourself, David, if you're selling golf software, shouldn't you be trying to sell to every single golf course out there? And the reality is, as you all know, the golf industry is extremely fragmented for good reasons. And the business models are extremely nuanced, which makes it very complicated for technology providers to find one solution that fits every single comprehensive need of every golf course out there. So what you actually end up doing at first is the complete opposite of what you'll end up doing in the long term to actually be successful, which is you try to entertain as many leads as possible, so have as many conversations as possible with opportunities, and sell the product to as many golf courses as you can. And whether that number is your first 20, your first 50, your first 100, 200 golf courses, or 200 businesses that you sign, you need to collect enough data to understand which part of these first 100 customers are a good fit for your product and which ones aren't, right? Unfortunately, for lack of better terms, you're most likely going to piss off a couple of people along the way because you're selling technology into businesses that maybe in the long term will benefit, but it's one of those necessary evils in terms of trying to grow your business. So once you've kind of sized up that first kind of golf course or so, you need to look at, unit economics. So how long is it taking to assign these courses? How much does it cost to assign these courses? And more importantly, there's leading flag indicators that you should be looking at in terms of how satisfied are customers with you? Why are they saying? Why did they choose your product? And those that are not satisfied, why are they leaving you and for what reason? And once you can analyze that data, you'll have a good understanding as to, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of correlation here, as to why customers are staying with you and why they're leaving with you. And that allows you to create what we call an ideal customer profile. So once you create your ideal customer profile, what you need to do is go back to that larger pool of opportunities. And in the golf space, we've got about 20,000 golf courses in North America. And then you create a subset inside that addressable market, which we call the sales addressable market. So once you have a sales addressable market, you basically have every single opportunity that you're going to be targeting from that point on. And any subsequent decision we make as business leaders, co-founders, or owners of a software company needs to be to make sure that we are building software and technology to cater to the current and future needs of that ideal customer profile. Now, where does the API stuff come from? So every so often, you get the opportunity to entertain an MCO, very sophisticated rewards, or high-profile public golf course. And unfortunately, they most likely fall outside of your sales addressable market. But if you have a strong API strategy and you build a strong network of partners around your product, you're able to leverage these companies and these integrators, i.e. a marketplace of companies, to help solution for gaps in your product. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, right? It's you think of iOS, right? Apple, they have a phenomenal operating system and they do a lot of core things really well. And that should be your goal as a software company or wealth management software. But if you're able to elevate your system by bringing in partners and allowing them to integrate and solve the voids in your product offering, you take your product and you take that addressable market that you build and you can stretch out a bit more. You might be targeting 20% of the market, right? But having an ecosystem of partners around you that elevates your product to another level might allow you to maybe target 30, 40, 50% of the market. Now, another benefit of having that ecosystem of partners, right, in marketplace and integrators, you can turn those integrators and those companies into a lead source for you as well. If these partners are happy with the integration and you're supporting them the right way as they're integrating into your product, they're going to be encouraged to talk about your business out there in the field. So not only have you elevated your product by bringing in an ecosystem of partners, but you're actually turning those partners into a lead source for you. And more importantly, it provides the golf course operator options. And I know Bryce is going to talk about that in a bit. He's going to be talking to us about what are the benefits for the integrator and the operator. But I don't think there's any operators in the room that want to be pigeonholed into having to use a specific reporting tool or one of three accounting integrations that we have, or a booking engine. You might have a high-end resort that is very protective of their brand, and as much as they love your software, their booking engine maybe doesn't align with their business model and it's not on brand. So having these open APIs and having options for operators allows you to kind of extend your reach. The last point I want to make here, this is a bit controversial, it's just a reality. You're able to use your partners that you've let into your ecosystem to validate proof of concept, right? Here's a good example. You might have an integration that has been widely adopted by your customer base. Hundreds of golf courses are using this integration, but they're not happy with the integration. And this integration is one-on-one. But you want your customers to be happy, but this partner, for some reason, is not investing in their integration and the overall end-user experience is not what you want to deliver as a facilitator of technology. So you're actually able to use that data to make a decision to either work with the partner and have them maybe evolve, and if they're not willing to invest in that integration, actually build that integration out natively. So that's pretty much it for me. We'll let Bryce talk about the benefits of operator and integrator.
All right. All right, Bryce. So that was definitely speaking about the benefits from a facilitator's perspective, from a software vendor's perspective, right? It's very difficult to build everything. We can't build everything successfully, so in order to be good, we have to partner with other vendors. APIs would enable other vendors' technology to talk to their core GMS. So as an operator yourself, Bryce, how do you get something?
Yeah, so I think just to give a little background on the panel, it's pretty interesting because Chris and I, with Spring Golf, with GolfBack, Great Life Golf, we integrate with TC point of sale solutions that are also on this panel, Club Caddy, Zen4, and Lightspeed. And to be frank, like if those APIs didn't exist, we wouldn't have a business. There are a lot of vendors in this room that specialize in certain verticals within the industry, and we're providing services to try to help fit the gaps as David talked about. And without this open APIs, it's simply wouldn't be possible.
And what about other industries? How are other industries?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. In the golf industry, not every software has an open API. So what that means for the golf course consumer is that they don't have free choice depending on which technology they want to use. So in industries like hotels, airlines, other industries, specifically ones that have perishable inventory, they have open APIs, and that is standard across the industry. We're not quite there yet in the golf course industry. I hope that we get there. I think that if we do get there, it will only drive innovation in the golf industry. And I think if you look at and you're comparing, hotels and airlines, the golf industry is certainly lagging behind those from a technological perspective. And if those open APIs were to exist, I think it would only welcome more competition, which is ultimately what's going to drive innovation in the golf course industry.
How many golf operators do we have in the room? Show of hands. Quite a few. You've probably all seen technology you'd like to integrate with, right? How many of you have an application that you would like to use, but you're not able to use it because it doesn't work with your current GMS system? Show of hands. What are some of those applications?
So we used Oracle NetSuite as our ERP. And it was smoothly integration that was built out. So we've been working with all plans to try to get that done in a long time going at this point.
Yeah, that's a common frustration. You'll often hear from GMS providers that the integration exists, but oftentimes integrations are built and they're limited in scope, right? So we want applications to fully communicate their databases with one another, and they typically don't. So you might get group charging information or, limited accounts receivable or, a certain set of data passes. And we like to call that integration. Definitely as we continue to build out APIs, hopefully those types of integrations will happen. There's another one back there too. What's another integration you're looking for?
Now, one sort of described is our ERP models, which are best in create functionality. So all the ability to sort of best initiate interface that it's a challenge.
Sure. One of the trends that GMS providers are seeing more often is that courses like yours are sending their data to a data lake or a data warehouse, like they build a Petroleum Stone, right? What that enables you to do is potentially build your own technology because all of your data is your ownership in your own database, and it allows you to maybe go a step further than your GMS partners willing to. So I just wanted to share that as a possible option. If you need an application, you should first ask your GMS provider. Your GMS provider continues to let you know that is an option. All right, any other questions on APIs, what they do, what they are, before we go to the next topic? Okay, our next topic is how golf course operators can use technology to both improve the customer experience and help your golf course make more money. And presenting to John Rodriguez.
Made everybody stand up. What I got? Leave. Can you? All right, to bring everything back to you, right? What it means to you. Thinking about what David said. Dave's talking about a startup, talking about the company and how things work together. What we look at is what does the golf course want? What is the solution you're looking for? And so integrated software, you hear it on this panel because we're all tech guys, right? Open APIs, like I said in the beginning, is critical, right? You don't need to know how the open API works. You don't need to know, well, John, how are you exactly speaking to that, system? How are you pulling it? Does it open everything? Is it a fire hose? Is it only allowing certain data to come through it? How are you able to do what you want to do? So I think what it is and what they said earlier, it allows you to acquire specialized software. In the resort space, where we get asked is room integration, right? Can you have room? I want to charge the room. I want to be part of the itinerary. I want to put it on there. So if someone's doing this, I want to share gift cards. I want to do things like that. So it starts growing. So it's a little taste in the beginning, but then it's like, I want more and more and more to go. The software must talk to each other. The key of what Chris and I are talking about is the data all of this produces. Because if you have all these integrated partner networks that all communicate to one place, you're getting data when they swing the golf club, when they put their score in, when they take a lesson, what they're eating, what they're buying, when they're playing, when they're traveling. You're getting all this information, right? The thing is, what do we do with it? That's the thing, is how do you do it? That's where they're going to talk in a minute about AI and how that's going to help you going forward as well. But then sharing data reduces errors, right? So if I have a system, and I know you've done this here, and I'm saying everybody, how many of you sit there and say, oh, it's fine, just let me download the report and then I'll upload it into my other accounting software, right? Don't worry about it. That's not integrated. They don't talk to each other. They don't speak the same language. Well, then we've even had people say, well, listen, I'm going to download it, I'll edit it, then I'll put it in. Well, holy smokes, man. You're going here, and you're going here. The ability to have errors now in your financial statements is significant. So you sharing data collectively and fully integrated reduces errors. Then account provisioning. Hey, if I have single login and I can access all my partners, I want to do that, right? It's one authentication process that I'm going through. So I do that, it reduces errors, I update once, I update my profile, it updates everywhere. It communicates, they're speaking constantly together. Collecting data. Like I just said, you're collecting data at every touch point, and then a single sign-on. How many of you are familiar with the company Rippling? Yeah? Rippling is a business software company, right? And they're a compound company. And what that means is
if you come to your GMS provider, the equivalent of a Rippling in the golf world, hey, Jonathan, I want this. Help. Or I don't know what I want. Help me. You know, so that's what Rippling does. There's 16,000 businesses using their software. They have 600 integrations. I mean, we were just talking about integrating. It's not easy, you know, but they have 600 of them, and they're adding more and more every day. Why? Because they want you to be able to hire, to fire, to check identities, to even down to your marketing software. You can do it through Rippling, right? You go to one, they're a compound company. Come into us, we'll put you in the right place with integrated software, and we'll help you. And then what will help your business, right? So when you sit there and say, okay, what do I want? You know, when you talk to your GMS provider, what are you looking to do? You're looking to grow revenue, you're looking to help the no-shows, are you looking to get more of the resort business? Those are the type of things, you know, events, reporting, dynamic pricing. I mean, dynamic pricing, I remember 3 or 4 years ago we were talking about it, and then it's like, oh, that's coming, or maybe I'm dating myself, right, 6 or 7 years ago. But now that's automating pricing. So then, you know, then marketing with geofencing, all those exist. Someone comes into your property, welcome. Someone leaves your property, hey, thanks for coming, leave service. You know, if it's not a 5, please tell me why. You know, those things are important, but you have access to this, and where? All from partner networks. The GMS, just like the PMS, can't build everything, but they can integrate and create this network. And then lastly, on my piece, is now what's the delivery mechanism? You know, with hardware, right? Data acquisition, convenience, customer experience. So how do I deliver this information? Kiosks, smartphones, tablets, handheld devices, computers to consumers and to staff. Make it easy for the customers and staff to access the software, improve their experience, right? So if you have a unified experience, we all do it. As long as I have an account, you know my rate when I call in, you know my rate when I walk in, you know my rate when I check in or when I log in. So you having that information available to you, have it system-wide around the property, so no matter where I am, if I have a tab when I come into your shop and I'm on the 17th floor, add it to my tab. I go into the pro shop, add it to my, so all the devices to each other, so you're able to do that. And then unified experience across all channels, and then again, transfer tabs, book multiple properties, great supply. But that's what the APIs and that's what partner networks allow us to do, is give you the solutions that you require to manage your course, but integrated so they all speak and they're all secure.
All right, Chris, can you talk a little about how we can use the software to enhance revenue and also improve customer experience?
Yeah, exactly. Going to build off of what John's speaking. I'm also going to cut the trend about standing. We'll go back to you after the hearing about speaking off. You know, the most important thing about what John says is bringing all of this data together. And so it can be acted upon in unison across your entire stack. When I say your stack, T-sheet, your point of sale, your marketing, all of those things using these APIs across in your day-to-day business. So, you know, not only is the acquisition critical and the methods you grab that data, because the APIs allow you to get that data across all sorts of different methodologies, right? Marketplace, your direct booking, your SEO, your phone services, your in-person T-sheet, allows all that stuff to get put together. And housing that is not only a security issue, but also it's sort of an issue of performance, right? We have all these different data types of transactional data, behavioral data, demographic data. But really, where this stuff becomes very valuable is how all of those different pieces of data work together in space and time. And we sort of call that metadata, right? So, you know, we have website visits and things like that, but are you looking at bounce rates? Are you looking at reviews? Are you looking at the things that people are doing while they're on your data, while they're on your websites, and looking or not looking? Because we can infer trends in behavior and anomalies from how those people are acting and how they know, not just having the data on hand. And that sort of data allows us to now become personalized. And that's a really important point of differentiation for you at service level, because at the end of the day, AI is not coming for humanity in the service, right? The luxury experience in our industry will always be human touch. But we can use AI to feed humans the data that make these intercommunications personal. John uses an example of time at a restaurant he goes to in Dallas. They use microsystems POS, but he shows up once a year for dinner. Knows exactly what wine is white flakes and how much they stay, right? That's memory that the POS system is feeding that data and allows for that human touch to be carried through from the AI. So allowing a person to do that is a 5-star experience. Maybe you want to do that through email or text or some sort of automated program that 3 or 2-star goals. And that allows you to differentiate your price point. So that email versus human interaction is important for you to decide where you want to go in terms of being able to be personalized to your marketing. Predictive analytics is another piece that's super important as we go through dynamic pricing and things like pricing and sagacity that are out there. That's AI, right? There's a human setting boundaries to it, but it's pretty much AI on its own, right? It's looking at the weather, pacing, booking, what rate it wants, and making an informed decision on what the rates should be, what the customer will pay. So that's kind of already here. That kind of version of AI is here. And for us as developers, that's kind of where we're thinking in taking AI in the future, right? Using AI, using generative models is sort of a skill of itself, right? For example, if you're a director who's not using pivot tables or email filters in his inbox, it's going to take him a while to learn how to talk to chat data to get something out. For us, the challenge is to sort of agentify these AI and make them bots, right? And have it pour through this data and say, hey, F&B manager cost of sales in this item is 45%. Maybe there's a conversation being had there. Or these 3 entrees are selling less this month than they did last month. Is there a problem in your process? Like it should be generating a conversation that you had by humans. It's sort of backing up those agendas, not necessarily doing things for the F&B director, if that makes sense. And as we kind of close the loop, the customer feedback data is becoming more and more essential. Show of hands, how many people played with Gemini on Google, the AI search bot? I'm not sure if you've noticed, but if you search for your golf course or play around on Google search and then compare what Gemini says about your golf course, it's a completely different search experience in certain places, right? Using a strategy to write blogs and information on weddings or golf tournaments, how to construct golf tournaments, and throw that blog on your website, and hope that Google picked up the search terms and sent people to your website. Well, now Gemini just answers those questions, doesn't necessarily take you anywhere. So your SEO strategy is going to change immensely as Gemini kind of takes over where Google's going to search. So the ability and what Gemini looks at more often, you might notice, it looks at Reddit, it looks at user forums, looks at Google Maps reviews more so than websites. So your ability to use AI to prompt people who give you good reviews to go out and talk about your course in user forums online is going to be much more important than your SEO strategy website. And all of that sort of stuff, kind of goes itself into the loyalty engagement piece of our business, right? You can grab a customer from the top of the funnel, feed them what they're looking for in terms of their pro shop products, their F&B preferences, really treat them sort of like a private member through using this metadata. That is what engenders the loyalty and builds your fence around those key customers and brings them more often.
All right. Any questions so far? We have Stephen for a little while. We guys an opportunity. Any questions about how APIs play a role in your customer experience or in revenue, or managing revenue?
I have a question. So, out of the audience, how many of you would you consider yourself a habitual golfer by, when you play, whether it's weekday or weekend, what time of day you play? Would you, by a show of hands, how many do you constantly follow the same habits when you're booking golf? Quite a few. So really, what we find as golf course owner operators is that customers certainly follow the same habits, right? So golfers that play weekend almost always play on weekends, golfers that play at twilight almost always play at twilight. Even for how many golfers they look for, can follow a habit. So really what Chris was talking about, the technology being able to identify that for you and help you understand your customers, what their habits are, maybe what your needs are, to fill the tee sheet on certain days and how it interacts with the golfer. That's, I think that's how the golf course industry is going to move forward.
All right, we're going to cover some emerging trends in golf course technology and also predictions for the future. They will start with the topic we've already covered, right? Open APIs and seamless integrations. So the future of golf course technology will depend on interoperability, the ability to use multiple applications. Technology providers like Clubcaddy, 94, Lightspeed are going to have to enable APIs that allow communication between your point of sale, tee sheet, your marketing platform, and other third-party applications. You'll see more and more third-party applications, some that may not even be currently in golf, may not seem like they're a good fit for golf, because golf is an attractive space for a lot of technology companies to enter into, at least in theory, right? And so you'll see more and more companies coming into golf. These integrations will reduce administrative burden and overhead on your staff. They'll enable operators to adopt best-in-class solutions, and they will be locked into a single system, right? So that's in all of our interests to adopt that type of technology. APIs will enable more customization. They'll give golf courses greater control over their operations and also the user experience. And so your key takeaway is to consider, do you currently use a GMS system that is cloud-based? And if so, ask your provider, do they have an open API? Okay. Any questions?
Anyway, how are you defining it? It's kind of on Riversoft, I apologize. When you say, when you're asking, do you have an API, so what do you do with it? Yeah. I've ever said documentation available online publicly.
Yeah, that's
When you got a key, is it? That's
an excellent question. It doesn't get asked nearly often enough, right? And at least for me, as an operator, my answer would be, what is the problem with trains, right? So you need to, and if you're communicating with your GMS provider, you just say, like, look, I have an accountant who downloads data once a month, and we're always behind in our books. So what are you looking for? Are you looking for a real-time sync of accounts payable and accounts receivable? Does it need to include items? Does it need to only include, sorry guys, does it only need to include general ledger data, right? But the more clearly that you can articulate the problem that you're trying to solve, then, that's where you're going to find your answer. You should be asking for actually, the API documentation or how am I going to solve this problem? Excellent question.
I think for me, I agree. Right? We're looking at these new systems, right? Heretofore, just because of the way this thing evolved, we've built APIs into existing code stacks and technology. I think the next generation of patient software has to be data centric and API centric, right? As developers, we're spending more and more time in the future, working on API calls and documentation of that. I think our data tables have to be flatter, they have to be easier to call, and we should really focus more on fire hose kind of methodology that everything should be available, because at the end of the day, the custom builds that David was talking about at the beginning of the presentation take up a lot of time, and they'll allow us to be as innovative as we could be with such as generative technologies that field it. So the flatter and more accessible our API calls can be, the better it is for everybody.
If I can ask that, very well explained, Chris there. I think GMS platforms are evolving into operating systems. I think we're seeing more and more dependence on third parties to solve for problems at the level. I think it's beautiful, the evolution of the business model, the focus on experience and really wanting to kind of protect your brand. Your differentiator being that experience and not, the water hazard on 7P3, right? And if I'm right, if my prediction's right, if you're going to be an operating system, you need to have much better documentation. You need to have a better supporting infrastructure for the partners that are plugging into your software. Without that, you're absolutely right. Like just saying I have an open API, it wasn't neat, right? Like you have a little understanding of documentation if it's not clear. Like, you need to be able to hold your partner's hand or third party integrators hand and walk them through how they feel or how you feel the product should be integrated into your software, and make sure that you have the right engineers and the right supporting infrastructure to support that partner to make sure that the end result of your integration has integrity and everybody's happy with it. Yeah.
And as a GMS provider, I mean, all of us will say, sure, come to us with integration and we'll do it. And typically they get done with a number of course in the past. One of the things I don't think any of us do well enough that we could do a better job is asking, what is the problem with trends, right? Because that integration, we probably have another integration that does something that does the exact same thing as the one you're currently looking for, another way to solve that problem. Every golf course is unique in the combination of tools that they use, but very rarely is a golf course the only golf course that does something, right? And so if you come with a problem, I need help solving this problem, you'll likely get a recommendation from your GMS provider, and it may not be the one you want to hear right away, but there probably is a solution out there, so don't be afraid of that. All right, the next is personalization, something that also we covered, Chris and John, right? And the key to personalization is having data. So your GMS system should do two things. The first is it should capture a lot of data to help you make informed decisions. But we're going to start seeing more and more, so the GMS providers will lay out the data in more clear ways. So you don't have to dig through 8 reports to figure out what your top selling items are, what inventory items are low margin, right? Those things will be abundantly clear. So when you go to reorder, maybe there will be a module that helps you pick those things out, puts them in a dashboard right at the top so you can make more informed decisions. So right now, we've gotten to a place, I've seen all of the GMS systems really improve when it comes to data capture. But I don't think any of us are doing well yet. It is taking that data that we captured and presenting it to you in a way that allows you to make better decisions. And I think that's something that all of us are working on over the next couple of years. So golfers, like the example that John had for Cat Micros, already seeing playing partner recommendations, their favorite ball recommended to them if they sit down in the dining room, maybe what they ordered last time. We'll see greater depth in that. So you might see, their spouse's name and where they like to sit, and just being able to go a lot deeper to make sure that your staff provide a better experience for those customers than they've had in the past. These will also be really valuable for loyalty programs, like Chris also covered. So you figure out what incentivizes somebody to come back, what's their regular cadence. Like historically, the last 20 years of operations, we've had a remarketing campaign. So typically what they would do is they look at and say, somebody has to play golf in 30 days, so we're going to send them a promotion, $10 off the next round to try to incentivize them to come back. But what if John Doe has a cadence of playing your course every 60 days? He's a seasonal, he's a snowbird, right? He leaves northern Michigan, goes down to Florida in the winter. It wouldn't make sense in October for us to send a remarketing campaign, right? I mean, somebody who may potentially be there, but that's not the reason they're not playing the course. They don't need a reminder. So the systems will evolve. We'll predict trends over greater periods of time. You'll be able to see this is exactly the cadence at which they play. And so I'm not going to send, a remarketing email until 30 days past that cadence.
I think just that on to that, I think somewhere here, us as a group can get to is the idea of rate validation. One of the ways that we kind of suffer a little bit with our systems that are designed is, player one, we're pretty good at collecting the data. Player two, player three, player four, we're not great. So the gold standard of all of this for me would be that the captain goes to the time, he sends it to his buddies. His buddies automatically also validate the rate that they want to see your or whatever it happens to be. And they can all prepay without having to do all this shop. I think that's the gold standard.
I think all of us are working for it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? Because especially on the BSC side, you want your consumer to transact as quick as possible, right? Like there's almost a caveat of all this. It's like you want them to find a tea time, you want them to book, you want them to get into your database as soon as possible, and you want to kind of limit the amount of friction from point A to point B. I love the idea of like, hey, you have 48 hours after you book your golf when you break your golf, right? I also think there needs to be more discipline publicly. Right, especially if we're talking about AI, we want to use AI to kind of public predictive behavior and allow us to operate, be better operators. What do you want to say? When it comes to data. Garbage, yeah. So, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I think it's going to be imperative. Not only we have that responsibility to make sure that it's a great consumer experience and do our best to make sure that we're sending as much data back to the public. I think also at the club level, probably needs to be a bit more disciplined in making sure that those working out are capturing as much data as possible. Right? You don't want 5 job rights in the database, right? You want one. And you want to understand his children behaviors so you can then implement marketing tactics that you to.
And then really quickly, it's also what you do with it, right? Are we doing it manually? Because it is a service business. So if I get the data that, Jonathan plays every Thursday afternoon, well, I know, the system's going to know that my tea time is going to get more expensive as time goes on. So do we notify Jonathan through the app that, hey, Jonathan, historically, these prices are going up over the next 7 days based on demand-based pricing. Do you want to book your tea time today? You're probably save 20%, which is different, right? They're not paying, you're not giving them a discount, right? But then if they wait 30, or are you calling them and saying, hey, listen, Jonathan, just so you know, we got the next Thursday announcement today. Would you like to book that? Or would you like to wait? Because if they wait till next Wednesday, the price could be 30% higher or something. So it's what do they do with the day or how?
One thing with your program for software, so my wife's been going this follow up this week. We've been here a while, and I keep getting reminder emails, about bookings. And we don't do that in and I was thinking about it.
Yeah. I got a Tesla a few years ago. It's not a flex. It's just Yeah. No, but they were so relentless from the time they warned me that my car was ready until I went to pick up my car. They were just adamant on getting me excited about that pickup. And I was like, that is a prime example of a way to encourage somebody to get somebody excited about the experience.
We're worried about cancellations or nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and that might be where something like a setup bot works, right? Because I think most of the GMS providers have that ability to email you 24 hours before your tea time, but how many operators actually still on set that up? Taking 5 minutes. So that would be something the system, hey, we don't have any reminder emails, we don't follow you.
All right, this is something to really pay attention to, and it's kind of scary. But data security concerns are real. So with the rise of mobile booking systems, self-check-in, online payments, and just the volume of customer data that's being kept in your GMS system, cyber attacks are becoming increasingly more prominent in the golf industry. Look at even keep like endpoint protection software that continuously monitors. Literally, it's every single day there are malicious actors trying to get into our system and trying to capture data. And we've had multi-course operators that are moving to different solutions because their entire system has been shut down for weeks at a time. The same vendors that were attacking MGM are now attacking golf courses with the same cyber attack. Hackers that took MGM down a couple summers ago have recently started attacking the golf industry and actually gone after a couple of soon-to-be clients that are transferring over. So this is something real that is happening, right? And that makes it more important that you have a data plan, that you know how you're protecting data, that you know how your GMS provider is protecting your customers' data, and that proper protections are in place because it can have serious impact on your golf course. Not only potentially do we have liability if that data is captured and used for various purposes. So you want to make sure that the GMS provider, you take away on this one, your GMS provider has cybersecurity insurance policy. If it's my golf course, I'm making sure that I'm individually named on that cybersecurity policy so that you're covered in the event that happens. You want to make sure a tool that you might want to look at is something called Security Scorecard. Security Scorecard is a tool that allows you to look at any application that you use, any software that you're looking at buying, and determine how well do they protect my data. So it gives everybody a level grade of how they're doing, and you can see where they're strong and where they're weak. And those are all things that, as you're interacting with your GMS provider, it is a risk for you and something that you should be, paying attention to. Any questions so far?
Do you find that in the golf industry, keeping the operators and staff, like you said, to understand what personal data is, what that means, because someone can come up to you and quite often now when you go to maybe online or sign up with somebody, they're like, okay, well, you need to go through our control person. That they are taking that responsibility away from that individual that wanted to, which is fine, but not everybody does that. Are they being told that they're going to go through every year, you need to be certified through the process to be able to manage that is what it is. The data security is being fixed.
So I can see that. I work with a number of SEOs that have someone in their IT or finance department who are trained the frontline staff in that compliance processes there. It's not something that I can provide, so
Not only makes us,
but the operators department, I've seen both sides. I've seen operators who have yearly PCI training and compliance, and I've also seen operators who are still writing down a credit card and putting the credit card manual somewhere and taking it upstairs to the office and putting the secret in it.
or going to positive everything on the as well.
Exactly. So we build our software to try to get operators away from that, so that there are safeguards and securities that way. But it's sort of varies by operator in my experience.
ACI compliance is all about risk management, right? And ultimately, your vendor, whoever is processing credit cards, you're using to process credit cards, has risks that are associated with the way that you're accepting those credit cards. So if you take a bunch of fraudulent credit cards, depending on, I guess how you're structured as a credit card processing company, you potentially have to take on that risk, right? And so typically what you're seeing GMS providers do is they're requiring golf courses to take surveys on PCI compliance. And they're a couple of hours and they're really painful, right? And if you complete that survey, you save like $50 a month on your monthly bill because, ultimately, I guess the actuaries figured out that's the right amount to charge so they can mitigate their risk and financial risk or those cybersecurity incidents or those PCI compliance breaches that they have. So I think PCI compliance is going to become something more and more common. All of the merchant providers at my industry are currently requiring self-assessment questionnaires, and ultimately the impact for not doing it is up to $50 a month. It could be more or less, but around that range.
I think probably my prediction is within 3 years, and it's probably going to come sooner. We won't be allowed to allow you as an operator to manually enter a credit card into our system. The consumer will have to do that. We see that in France already, where the consumer needs to validate every purchase on their account.
And
they're
that's
it, yeah. So add you to the database to sell you membership break, you get a link, you're the only one that can put in your credit card.
Yes.
I know at my company, when a salesperson is taking a credit card on the phone, we can't hear that call. It mutes it. So he said, client seating in our CRM, and the end user or the customer puts in the credit card, and that's it. I don't think we're far from that. I think that's gonna limit your exposure and your risk as an operator. There's only so much we can do on our end, right? Like you can build a UI where you can enter a credit card and then validate a credit card with a provider who is involved. They're going to be in a place where the actual consumer is going to be the one entering the card and controlling the use of that card on their. I think that's the safest.
More work for all of us operators.
Develop.
All right, a little bit on AI. So this is not like a trend, it's not going away. This is going to change the way that your business operates. It's just, I can't speak more matter-of-factly about this. The real question is this 2 years away? Is this 5 years away? Is this 10 years away? And as an operator, one thing I know of is I don't want to be 10 years out before I invest in something that 8 years ago I should have because it was 2 years away. So I think this is something that all of you need to start paying attention to because it's going to change the entirety of your operation. AI-driven tools like predictive analytics will help golf courses forecast key times, optimize staffing, automate maintenance scheduling. Furthermore, chatbots, Banner, you good? Banner, right? Chatbots and virtual assistants will improve the booking process, customer service, and even take over our marketing strategies. So you don't have or maybe more so making decisions and telling the AI to do the work, we're not doing that work. So if you're a golf course who is not preparing to use AI, a golf course up the street is very likely going to eventually be problem. And AI is coming. You guys like to talk about AI? Do you agree? You guys agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just how it's used, right? Back to what we said a minute ago, in a service-oriented business, when it comes to the customer, how is it delivered to the customer, to the person, or American? But absolutely, order patterns, weather patterns, things that you're already using it with dynamic pricing. I mean, it's pricing on the ground based on demand, based on weather, based on rate, based on accounts, etc. So for sure. Yeah, it's when you think about it, I've been around long enough now, we all think about 10 years ago, they were talking about dynamic pricing was coming, right? And like, that's not good for a while. Then all of a sudden, I remember the guys that, Accenture used to do it by, figuring it out themselves. Then they got all automated. So it's a huge.
And golf courses would make a lot more money, right? So if they adopted that, that would be similar with AI. All of us are working on different AI projects, and all of them, the goal is to make your lives easier, to help you make more money, and we're all going to borrow ideas from others. So they can better than one week, and then you go eventually, right? So people become good minutes within all golf courses.
I think as technology providers, we find that the adoption level, course level, is not great, right? So I think really what AI will do is it will make it way easier for you to implement the suggested predictive answers.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. I think it'll be a long time, especially hospitality, before the super intelligence here that the singularity that Sam Altman talks about, where the AI is smarter than some interactions you have with humans throughout the course of your day, the decisions you make. But where I do think we're going is sort of these agents and bots that we can build into the system, giving you sort of a choose your own adventure for your day, right? Like, here's the top 5 things that you need to look at from your data, from your customer experience, that you follow us, that sort of thing. And then more sort of building an agenda, right? We've all been on the conference call where somebody has an audit and takes the notes and then emails them back. Those sort of things don't really save us time. If we're being kind of call attendees, you don't need the audit bot. 7 audit bots can't have a conference call themselves, right? There's still not a whole lot of AI without natural intelligence. So I think while it'll be a long time before any of us are replaced with operators, our days can get more efficient and easier.
Mine's a little more boring. So one of our biggest costs as providers is the training of the operator, the turnover in the club. There's a very expensive cost to serve, right? And I don't blame it, right? But oftentimes the software is very technical, it's very complicated, and people need handling and training in order to be good operators. What I'm really excited about AI, and that's why it's a bit more boring. So if you're a product user, basically not like this answer is the complete removal of the user interface above level. Literally having more human-like prompting and interactions with the computer. So instead of actually opening a T-sheet, clicking on number 4 and able to bring in 4 golfers, literally just having a conversation with the chatbot, right? And instead of me having to go to my CRM and look up Jonathan's account to see who's the last transaction is on the card account, literally using that same chatbot and just asking when Jonathan writes those things, right? And I think if we could do that, if we could just beyond that for the next 3-4 years, adoption of technology is going to be so much easier, right? You're actually be able to execute a business model without having to worry about how do I train my staff, right? It's a chatbot. It's the most human-like, communication and talks from that sort. So, yeah, that's kind of how I see things going. And yeah, John's right. The capability that behavioral patterns will be identified a lot easier given we have clean data, right? But removing technology is not friction. And right now there's a lot of friction between the operator and the consumer. And if we can remove that friction, I think we've successfully done our job as golf management.
We will end also with giving you a takeaway that will help on your AI journey. 5G and IoT. So we talk about IoT, we're talking about smart sensors that are connected to the Internet of Things. So you probably have smart microwaves, smart cars, and obviously smartphones. And these devices are becoming more and more common. So we're seeing that installed in GPS. These GPS systems, they're attached to carts. We're seeing golfers use them, like smart rangefinders and wearable golf tech. And this is all creating a connected ecosystem. All of these devices are creating metadata that enables your course to make more informed decisions, like how long does this golfer take, what is their average pace of play, what's their average time, that takes them in between holes 9 and 10, when they turn, do they stop the turn, don't they stop the turn, etc. So you'll have a lot more data, but it will require you to start considering possible small investments in hardware. And that these are not going to be just for golf operations and as in golf services, but I think there's going to be a huge use of them on your actual agronomy teams, for ground crew, soil sensors, water sensors, etc. Right? Nutrient sensors to determine and give advice to your teams for how they can improve the course. Any other cool uses you guys have seen about it too?
Question to follow up on what you've done earlier, increase the data that's become available, and being able to orchestrate that within a particular course or software system. There's going to be the need for a database architecture to be able to get to this stuff. It's like, yeah, you can have all the information you want, but if you don't know where it is, or you have to do 5 joins to get the information, So to me, as this grows, that's going to become one of the most important things. You got a whole lot of data. What does that mean? You got to data. So you get data architecture. You got to figure out.
So we've got Ross from the Bill against
And I'm going to underestimate those data as far as possible. So we're asking.
So everybody knows Ross, I give a little shout out here. He works for a company called Metolius. What they do is they take data from all of our systems and they combine it into a single spot. So you have data from Spring Golf, and Golf Bag, and Lightspeed, and Club Caddy, and 10 or potentially all in the same database. A single customer's profile, you can see their entire purchase history, booking history, etc. Across all of their systems. And that need for that is definitely growing. Unfortunately, companies in the
Yeah, and talking to Ross, right, which we do, goes back to the API. Is what's available in it to you, right? I can have an open API that just give you their name. Ross, an open API, right? But if I give their buying habits, what they're paying, when they play, what they eat, all those type of things, now you have something you can work with and create, really create.
And let's call you my last allocation track. Not transaction.
That's right. That's
All right, self-service tools for golfers. The future of the golfer's journey is self-service. And this won't mean that your staff, you and your team won't interact with customers. But what we will see is that golfers will spend more time checking themselves in from their phones, from self-service kiosks, and that will allow your staff to not be clicking and not be typing quite as much, but hopefully interacting with that customer and building a memorable experience with that customer. So self-checking is something that's in the industry I think we're all a little bit afraid of. I'm certainly a little bit afraid of it. We're building self-service tools as well, right? But the idea is not to eliminate your staff, to free up your staff from monotonous tasks that really don't help build a relationship with that customer. So I think we'll see more self-service tools.
Yeah, really quickly on that, because that's probably my favorite thing today. I love the self-service tools. When you have the app, when you have the kiosk, right? But what are you doing? They have to open an account. They have to tell you their name. They have to tell you their email. Bob Smith, I've never given you my email. I don't have to stand in that line anymore. No, all right, I'll have it over there. Right, so he goes to the kiosk and he puts his information in. And then what? I'll buy a burger, I'll buy a sandwich, I'll buy some golf balls, I'll do all that. You get all of this data off Bob. He thinks it's just having convenience over there. But I love that. I love the kiosks, I love mobile apps, I love websites. So anything that can make it self-service, because I prefer to do it by myself, right? And then what are you doing with resource costs getting so high as well? Then you don't have to add more staff. And you're right, exactly, Jason, what you just said. Then maybe, Jim or Mary in the shop gets paying more attention to the ones that do need help, or they're all looking, maybe they're looking to plan an event, maybe they're looking for, something else, an outing or something. You can spend time with that and not just check with the thing you decided to run.
Yeah, it's an important point of service. right? I think this might work for me, right? But the only real experience I have is this, where it's to the extreme, right? You check in with the QR code at the first tee, and you're off. If you need balls are in a vending machine, if you need gloves are in another vending machine. That might work for lower end community, but if I show up across the piano or something like that, so the important point is there is differentiation. Sort of understand what your customers are looking for before you go all self-service.
Similarly with sustainability focused technology, obviously water is becoming increasingly scarce and expensive. Smart irrigation systems will help conserve water, and that's a big example of combining machine learning or artificial intelligence with IoT devices. But don't limit yourself just thinking about how technology can help in golf operations. I think that our agronomy teams are underserved in technology, and you'll see more and more technology companies helping. So that is, and we'll see just the backyard next door, so cool technology that's coming out. I want to take a couple minutes for questions. So just want to leave you with one takeaway. In order to accomplish everything that we laid out today, you have to have a data strategy, right? And so, what is a data strategy, and what are some of the key elements of it? They're different for every golf course, so there's not like a template of here's your data strategy, although you could probably GPT water is a Google one to find a data strategy. But obviously you have to understand your operation and how it fit. So some of the key elements of a data strategy is you have to have a strategy for collecting data. You have to have a strategy for storing data, right? So think about how you collect data. Who are your staff? You have staff who don't want to take a customer's name. You can put in johndoeexample.com is the email address and put in big numbers. If you do, those are not your key members for the future, right? Those are the ones that are going to be responsible for why you fall behind when AI eventually is more prominent within the industry. So you want to have a strategy for how you're storing the data. Is it in a data lake? Does your GMS provider offer a data warehouse? Is it a cloud solution? Do you want to have an on-site solution? An on-site server? We need to understand where is your data being stored, how are you getting that data there, and then what's your plan for managing it, including how are you protecting that data, right? One of the things that we talked about earlier, because with more data, you have more risk of being hacked. That's true. These presentations will be shared, so you'll obviously have all of these content. I'm not going to go bullet point on data strategy, but if I have one takeaway as an operator, it is what is my plan for data? Because I recognize that in order to take advantage of technology in the future, I have to have a plan on managing and supporting that data. All right, we're going to open it up to questions in the last 5 minutes, or last 2 minutes. Go ahead.
How do you guys companies think about like one-to-one bespoke integration between the different technology providers versus kind of like one-to-many integration like Zapier or any other type of like third-party integration?
Yeah, I don't actually know how to answer that. I think a lot of our focus right now is, in all honesty, it has been very much to figure out, right? In terms of like who are we going to integrate with, how are we going to solution for the ball that's right in front of us, and it's been such rapid growth since COVID, and I think we're all chasing our tail trying to kind of stay afloat, right? Like the technology sector in golf, when the pandemic hit, everybody had to adopt it. I think a lot of our energy and focus and subsequent decisions since the pandemic has really been on trying to solution for the now. I think it's only now that we're kind of starting to see everything kind of flatline and start thinking about the future. And obviously AI is kind of forcing our hand, right? Start thinking about how are we going to like evolve our APIs to allow or ingest data from all these new technologies that use AI, because we haven't really solved for that yet, right? And I think that's the next big challenge. I love like using it for internally. It's phenomenal, right? I love your office and work. But yeah, I can have it there.
Zapier is almost the exception, because it isn't really the one-to-many. It is, it just gives you customization abilities to build those ones. But those one-to-manys, in my experience, haven't always worked the way that you wanted them to work, but they also create a middleman in between, right? So the problem is that one-to-many has to get paid, plus the many has to get paid. So now you have 3 parties that are all collecting. Frankly, golf course operators are cheap, right? So they just don't want to pay one. That's kind of been our experience. The truth is we do integrations based on, what integrations drive revenue. So if you have 30 courses asking for something, it's more likely to get done than if one course is asking for it. Or if you have a course that's willing to pay for something, it's more likely to get done than if that course is willing to pay for it. And I think, I wish we had other strategies, but I think that's the truth. Ultimately, the market determines what the innovations. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you so much for coming. Thank you.